All right. So anyhow, we are here. Um, so as you can see, we have three of our distinguished guests, the ones I definitely trust their opinions and thoughts. Matter of fact, okay, we have four. Okay, so we have four of our distinguished guests. So if you, we're going to be going into their take on today's politics of 2020. You know, the whole climate, what's happening, you know, with different political conversation, agreements, disagreements, issues, agendas, all these things. So we've been hearing a lot of the stuff that the brothers are saying, you know, in these spaces, but I feel it's very necessary to hear some of the sisters as well, the ones that will give you a straight answer. Okay, I had to keep reiterating that these are straight answer sisters. That's why I pick them. But anyhow, why don't you introduce yourselves? We'll start with Nyota because you're next to my logo.
Um, Most people know me from Ferguson or just in my work um, as a hip hop advocate online. Um, it's been a long 6 years, a long
Mm,
6 years. A lot of people know me from my work with Darren Sills, the late Darren Sills, um, who was murdered um, while exposing Black Lives Matter. So I'm kind of having mixed feelings, about the conversation, because whenever Black Lives Matter comes up, it's personal to me. You understand what I'm saying?
yes, I understand. This
So,
we'll go into it and try to be as you know respectful as possible. I mean, not, well, we
I
will
mean,
be
no,
respectful.
it's fine. I don't have any problem with, anyone's opinion on Black Lives Matter. It's just to say that my interactions with them are personal. It's not something that I read or saw or, I'm forming an opinion from a distance, watching. It's like I dealt with them,
Yeah, so that's
in the
gonna really.
beginning. The Black Lives Matter most people know is the polished Black Lives Matter that was presented. We know the Black Lives Matter before they rose to national prominence. We know the Alicia Garza, Patrice Cullors, and Opal that came here, as freedom fighters before anyone ever even heard a hashtag of Black Lives Matter. That's not how they came here. That's not how they presented themselves.
Mm, okay, we definitely gonna get into that. Appreciate you, Sister Nikole. Tell us about yourself, what you do.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Art, for having me again. I really appreciate it. Um, yes, I'm Nicole Ali. My channel primarily focuses on STEM. That is my profession. Um, so that's one thing that I focus on. Also focusing on things outside of that, which include relationships and politics does go in with everything that we have in our life. It does have a obviously very um, powerful impact on the things we do in society. So I'm glad we're having this discussion. I hope that it'll be productive and we all can learn something from each other today. So thank you for having me.
Okay. So we're gonna make a little loop around another Leo sister, Irene Yvette. Tell us about yourself, sister.
Hi. I don't know, isn't it weird telling people about yourself? So let's just say, suffice to say, my name is Irene Ivette, and I do various things within the community. I work with several Black institutions, mostly institutions for youth, um, but some adult institutions, as well as have a YouTube channel here on YouTube. Um, so yeah, nice to meet all of you ladies. Art, thank you for having me.
Okay. And last but not least, we have back to the basics. Shalonda, tell us about yourself and what you do.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
We can hear you.
All right. I'm back to the basics. I'm a army medic currently dealing with COVID-19 and everything else. And that's mostly what I'm doing right now. And here, hopefully in a little over a year, I'll be able to be more active in the community. And thank you for having me, Art. I really do. I feel a little overwhelmed being here.
Okay, it's an honor for you to be here, like always. So we're going to get into the first question, just so people understand where you're coming from when you tell us, your thoughts and opinions. The first question would be, do you have any political affiliations? Or if you do, where do you lean? And if not, tell us why. Let's go with Sister Nyota. What say you?
Um, I'm a recovering Democrat. Uh,
Go ahead, sister.
right now, I don't have any party affiliation. My affiliation, if I had any, is to the advancement and progression of Black people.
Okay, well noted. Okay, Sister Nikole.
Absolutely. I feel the same way when you said you're a recovering Democrat. I feel you on that. I don't even remember when that transition happened, but it was almost like a AA meeting for myself, hello in the mirror, it's me again, Isley Brothers song, hello, it's me. But I was like, I can't, this is not going in the direction in my favor, or so I did make that decision. So I wouldn't say specific affiliation, but I would have to agree with Nyota on that, definitely. Like anything that's working for the advancement of us, of Black people, no matter where we're from, no matter what we're doing with our lives, no matter what we want our children to do, that I really see as like, if that's independent, okay. If that's whatever, then okay, then I'll do that. But recovering Democrat, I'm gonna keep that. Thank
That's tight.
you.
Okay, Sister Irene.
Yes, well, I am part of a lesser known and rather popular political party called the Armed Revolutionists. But as far as traditional political parties, I do lean conservative. But of course, I think it's odd to align yourself with a political party in a corrupt system. So.
Okay. And then we have Shalonda. What say you on this topic?
I'm a registered independent. Um, so I sort of fall right down the middle. And right now, I'm just supporting, I'm just B1 right now. I'm just a part of the Black First Brigade. And that's pretty much where I'm at right now.
Okay, so now we have that situated. So the next one would be why? I mean, should we vote and why? Let's go with Nyota.
Um, I think we can use the vote as a tool. If we weaponize our politics, you know, um, that's really the only way it's going to work for us. Malcolm told us, you know, 50 years ago that the white vote was split and we would be the determinative factor either way. The problem is, instead of leveraging our votes, we just went, with the Democrats, and that's pretty much where we've been ever since. And the problem is that they've taken us for granted. They feel like they don't have to offer us anything. You look at what we're going through right now, we're in the middle of a global pandemic, and for Democrats to offer absolutely nothing, they won't even pass a stimulus, a second stimulus, and even the stimulus they passed, that isn't enough. I mean, $1,200, what, for five, how
Hmm.
many months ago was that?
Gosh, that was April, I think.
Okay, it's not sufficient. And when you look at the Democrat Party, it's like they're more concerned about defeating Trump than they are helping the American people. And when you talk about helping the American people, we're way on the bottom. We literally get the scrap whatever's left over after they bail out, whoever they're going to bail out.
Uh oh.
Our vote has to be
Uh oh, your Morgan sister. Are you there? Oh, okay. Well, we'll get back. Ooh. We'll get back to her. Her connection's bad. Okay,
Yeah.
Sister Nikole, take it from here. Should we vote and why?
Yeah, I think we should vote. And the why is, I it should be very obvious, but I don't know about y'all, but I've gotten all these calls. I think about 100 calls or texts a day about um, showing up and registering. Like you get them whether you register or don't. You get them whether you vote or you don't. It's just you're on a list and it just happens. But I've actually asked them, okay, are you going to do this for the local, elections and stuff? Are you going to do this, for that? And they're just like, they have no answer. So yeah, we should, but it's not just about obviously not just about the presidential election. Don't come to me every 4 years when what have you done for me lately? When like it should be every year. It should be all year. It's if it's my thing is like yes, you should vote. Yes, it is important that we keep our voices heard of what we need. But another thing is, not to forget to vote locally and be involved locally because every local town and city is different, right?
Mm,
So I just hope that people, keep that in mind.
okay. Sister Nayoda, you wanted to finish up what you were saying before you got cut off?
um they say politics is local,
Mm-hmm.
but here in St. Louis, I mean, local politics are corrupt.
Hmm.
I mean, really.
Talk
Yeah.
about it.
We had an absentee ballot hustle exposed. I think it was maybe 2018. And basically, what it is, I mean, with absentee ballots, they can do anything. And if the party in power is corrupt and they're the ones who count the vote, I mean, what are you supposed to do? You know, we have a situation here where we have Democrats who've been in power 20, 30 years. Bob McCullough, who wouldn't prosecute Darren Wilson, he was the county prosecutor for 30 years. And it's not just white Democrats, black Democrats. We have these political dynasties, where the seats are passed down like inheritances, families that have been in power 20, 30 years. And people aren't voting them in. People aren't voting them in, but miraculously, they're winning.
Hmm.
So what are we supposed to do when we
Wow.
already have proof, with the absentee ballot hustle? Where do we go? Where do we turn?
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's some things to think about. And Sister Irene Yvette, should we vote and why?
I think um, if we're going to compete in the system, then definitely we should vote in our local elections. Whether you should vote for the popular vote, I think that's more nuanced. I mean, vote for the presidential elections, I think is more nuanced in that um, we know that there are states where the popular vote does not determine who the electoral college will choose. And we've had several presidencies just in the past 30, 40 years where the popular vote did not pick the president. This includes our current president, right? So, um, I mean, I guess it's up for debate. I think if you want to vote, like if we vote as a community collectively to speak to the fact that we are paying attention to the political scene, or if we vote as a community in order to sway states that have a mandatory vote with the popular vote, then sure, you know, go for it. But if you're in a state where your popular vote does not determine who your elector has to choose in a presidential election, I wouldn't bother. But definitely locally, we should for sure vote all the time, every time, and run for offices when they open up.
Okay. Sister Shalonda, what say you?
Yes, definitely. I agree with what Miss Irene said. Definitely vote state and local. As far as the overall presidential election, me personally, I just like being another thorn in the oppressor's side because hey, if y'all gonna steal this election, y'all gonna have to work to steal this election. So I don't mind being that extra vote that they will even have an attempt to even throw out. So yeah, I already voted. So yeah,
Okay.
definitely vote local and state, if anything.
Okay. So if anybody just coming in, we have Nikole Ali, Irene Yvette, Nyota Uhura, and back to the basics here as our special guest, giving us some wisdom from their points of views. The other one that's been talking, the talking points in these spaces is the feminist agenda. On, I guess more they're talking about it on the right, I mean the left, but they're saying that there's some remnants on the right that people are not really pointing out. But is there a feminist agenda in politics? And if so, is this good or bad for black women? Okay, Nikole.
So you're asking, is there a feminist agenda in politics? Of course. We don't live in um, a traditional patriarchy anymore. We're mostly in a matriarchy, the black community, in a very uh, strong matriarchy or uh, a slanted matriarchy, more of a gynocracy, um, where basically you're punished for being male in a way. In politics in general, yeah, definitely there is a feminist agenda. Um, when you have, just for instance, like with Roe v. Wade, with abortion, both sides, conservatives and liberal, there are feminists in both on both sides in both camps. So yeah, that's a definite yes for me. And then the second part of the question is, if so, is this good? or bad for Black women. It depends on what type of Black woman you are nowadays, because if you go in and you want to focus on politics and the main umbrella for that is feminism, and yes, that's a problem for, I think that's a problem for the Black community. If you're a Black woman and that's your main thing is pushing feminist agendas, promoting feminist agendas, maintaining feminist agendas, that's a problem. Um, and if you are a Black woman who is against that, who wants to perhaps, you see where feminism, there is a place for feminism, such as if you're conservative or even liberal, doesn't matter, or independent, doesn't matter. If you see certain parts of feminism or certain parts of femininity that could be there, that could work, okay, that's fine. But for me, most people know I have an issue with feminism being the primary source for intellect, primary source for politics, the main thing that drives a lot of these things, a lot of the issues that get executed, that get implemented into society. I have a really big problem with that. Implemented into the education system, the medical system, healthcare, in every way, it's infiltrated itself. And as a Black woman, I would, you know, focus on like reducing that as much as possible. It can't happen quickly. It won't happen overnight, but counteracting that in different ways.
Okay. Sister Nyota, uh, what's your take on the question?
There is definitely a feminist agenda. Um, I think the problem though is it pretty much puts all women in the same box, in the same category, and
Hmm.
we're not all the same. We're not all the same across races. We're not all the same within, you know, all Black women aren't the same. So we all have. Um, I'm trying to think of how I can say this. Um, I guess the easiest way is just to look at it like this. Um, like I said, the problem is they're just trying to group everyone together, like we're all, under one woman umbrella, and we're not, because even within, you know, feminism, you still have racism. You know what I'm saying? And you still have classism. So those are other issues, that have to be addressed. So there just can't be this blanket, you know, feminist agenda, whether it's liberal or conservative. And I think that's a big part of the problem. I think for Black women, um, we have to sort this out, because even among ourselves, we have different agendas. So how can we stand in solidarity with other women when we haven't even figured it out how to make it happen just within ourselves? So I feel that there's like a whole different conversation that's not even being had.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. You guys are wise. Okay. Sister Irene, what's your take on the question?
Um, well, I mean, does it play a part? Yes, it does play a part to some extent. Superficially, I think it plays a part in a way that's meant to manipulate what women do politically. But should it play a part? I guess it depends on what you value. I think, when I talk to my midwife, who's very, very old, she says she remembers when feminism was about making sure women had access to sanitary care, right? Not having women have to go into bathrooms to pump their milk or nurse their babies, petitioning to be able to bring your child to work the way you can bring dogs to work, things like that. Whereas today's feminism is more, in my eyes, an attack on womanhood. And the only type of woman it's okay to be is a woman who is not a mother, not a stay-at-home, anything, not what we would consider traditional for women. You can only be a feminist if you are none of those things. Having children, is not considered, part of the feminist agenda on the whole. It's really frowned upon. And like the sister was saying, the extremes, to even believing that men are a sect of people that ought not exist. And, all sex toward women is violence, and we've been screwed into thinking we enjoy it. So it goes really, really far out there. And I think in the Black community, we have an epidemic. The sister said, we are a matriarchy or something of that nature, right? Maybe not an organized matriarchy, but by default, right? But unless we think that that is healthy, which I think by looking at our community, we can argue the status quo is not working for our community, right? Our child sexual abuse rates are off the charts. Our income is a low. You have a lot of young men who aren't growing up with strong male figures, and feminism directly attacks the nuclear family. And I would say restoration of the nuclear family is exactly what the Black community needs. So does it play a part in politics manipulatively? Do you know what I mean? The impact on our people is not good. The things feminism promotes are not good for our community. Feminism promotes abortion. Genocidal rates of abortion in the Black community are problematic. I can't see anything that modern feminism promotes that is advantageous to the Black community. I only see things that will further degrade us. So yeah, it plays a part in politics in a manipulative way. I think Black women by hook, line, and sinker are not recognizing that the agendas of feminism don't align with correcting any of the problems that need to be corrected in our community amongst women, nor do they properly support the things that women in our communities face most often, which is childcare, which is access to sanitary care, which is the ability to have the option to be a stay-at-home mother without being tied to the state system, which is bringing fathers into the home. Those sorts of things are not valued because feminism is not centered around the mother, right? Feminism is centered around disruption of the family and the woman. So I guess that's my take on it.
So just to piggyback or just to even to elaborate on what you're saying, you're saying that back then it was more about a woman being the mother and the one that was taking care of the family as a whole from within, and now it's more of an individual type of agenda when it comes to feminists or for females in general.
Yeah, I mean, when I talk to my midwife, and I'll have to take her word for it because she was around for the beginning, she talks about it being about making the world a place that a woman could function in her womanhood, the things that make us unique, right? So childbearing, assuring protections for women after their husbands were to pass away. It was mostly just to be a protection for women because of our unique status as women and what comes with that biologically, versus what it's kind of morphed into, which is the pitting of men against women and the idea that men and women somehow are the same and should be able to do the same things or have exactly the same rights, which I think, believe it or not, I don't want to talk too much, but I don't think that's true. I think there are some rights that women need that men don't need, right? There are some rights that men may need that women don't need because we're not the same. And there are some things that we require as women that don't need to be equally distributed throughout the sexes. And also for men. So yeah, long story short, yes. It went from being focused on women as childbearing creatures, right? Who suffered things within the home to being centered around taking women out of the home and making them non-childbearing creatures, essentially.
Okay. Sister Shalonda, what's your take on the question?
Wow. yes, there is a feminist agenda in politics, and I would say that it's bad for Black women. And the reason why I say that is because, to me, I believe that feminism attempts to make Black women equal to Black men. It seems to be a lot of terms about equality, and me personally, I'm fine with just being a Black woman. I don't believe I need to be equal to a Black man, because here's one of the examples I was talking to another person about, because I said, you realize selective service, right, is for men 18 to 55. So are these feminists, since some of them want to be equal to men anyway, do you guys really want to sign up for selective service women now? Open that up for women 18 to 55 years old? I'm just saying, like, is it going to be getting to something like that? Because to me, it shouldn't be about equality. To me, it should be about balance and interdependence. It's just a lot of narratives that seems to be going on with feminism, particularly when looking at it in the political arena. And I do agree with what Sister Irene says. Feminism is I believe it to be very anti-family. And that's why I don't co-sign on it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to stay on this for a minute because Art, if you don't mind.
Mhm.
Because it leads into some of the other questions as I'm listening to you all speak and looking at some of the questions and statements on the email. So, um, yeah, Irene, you said something that I had to look like, huh? Like that look, like, huh? But you said like for feminism, um, like bringing your child to work the way you can bring a dog to work. I I have an issue with that, but not because of you or anything, because I've heard that said before about oh my God, I'm so excited we can bring our kids to work and I can bring my dog to work. You shouldn't be bringing your kids to work. That's just me personally. Like I was raised traditionally, my mom, my grandma, my great grandma, like when they had to go do their job, you didn't think about, bringing your kids. Like you're at your job, it's a profession. Um, I think the lack of the will to separate those things. And someone may say, "Oh, well, she's a single mother. She chose that. She chose that position." And I'm not blaming her. Like, oh, this her decision. It's the system that allows that type of behavior to occur. You bring your kids to work. You can bring your dogs to work. Why you don't just work at home? Like, why you bringing all this at home into your job? They don't. That doesn't it's sliding into like this is a joke at your job. This is where you make your money. You know, I'm not saying you can't bring your kids. Yeah, picnics or whatever. Company picnic or whatever they're doing. That's like not pertaining to the work you do to make money to feed your child. Yes, bring your kid all you want to, but bringing your child to work. I know they have daycares at some jobs, so I'm not completely antiquated or old school. I know they have daycares at work, which I don't agree with that either. Um, but that stuck in my mind because it's like it's treat me like an adult. I have agency. I'm a grown woman, but I can't. Oh no, I just can't. Like that, I can't deal with that. I'm not gonna deal with I should say can't. I'm not gonna deal with that. Like that's a good reason why for me, feminism is not based on like if they say it's egalitarianism. It's not. I'm a woman, I can have kids, I can do what I want. I don't care what you have to say. And I'll sue you if you come at me wrong. That's how I feel about that. Okay, I'm not coming down on you, Irene. I hope that you understand.
Oh, no, but I was going to say, oh, I was going to say that somebody in the chat was saying, where do they bring dogs to work? Well, I'm from San Francisco, and it's really common. They have dog runs in the
Yeah, here
offices
too.
and everything. It's extremely common. I also want to say that I've been a stay-at-home mother for um, pretty much all of my mothering, but I have worked out the home. And when I've worked out of the home, it was specifically in a 12-year stint where I had a lot of clients that worked in commercial real estate. And I actually brought, at that time, I had a child, and I brought my baby to work with me. I did it until he was weaned, and it wasn't a disruption to my office. It worked out perfectly fine. Now, obviously, if you are on a construction site, that's not going to work, right? So I
Right.
think there are things within limits, but I definitely know from personal experience it's perfectly possible. But what I think I want to say more than that is, to me, women, after they give birth, for the health, the mental and physical health of the mother and the child, should automatically be able to stay at home for the first 1 to 2 years. They should be able to
Yeah.
telecommute. There should be some level of support for them. I do believe in small government, but I do think for things like this, that is part of womanhood, and those early years are essential to the mental and emotional health of children. And so when we then take women out of the home and take them into the workplace, what we do is we supplement the absence of a mother with child care and nannies, etc. I mean, I've had a couple of nannies in my time. And what we're really doing is trying to replace the mother, the things that the mother
Right.
would be doing, with another,
Right.
normally woman, who's doing that job. My argument is simply that if women are going to be doing things all the time without regard for the fact that biologically there is a greater burden for us in reproduction, then there need to be concessions made for that, because we aren't men. So men can have a child could be born in their home and nothing changes for them, right? No
What?
beeps were missed, right? No, nothing. I mean, nothing changes for them. What I mean is, they don't pop a baby out their vagina, you know. They don't have to heal. They don't start making milk. That's what I mean, right? So, and also, although fathers are important to the early development of children, it is the mother, and this is not to anything against men, it just is what it is, who is the most important, right? So when I think about supporting women, I think about supporting them in their choices in ways that are healthy for both mom and baby. And of course, every independent, every individual woman can make her own choices about what that looks like. But I think we can think bigger, especially for women who are in professions like I was, where it is capable. I was capable of bringing my baby to work. Now, when my baby got loud talking around 1 and he was, then
Right.
he couldn't come to work anymore. But in those
Mhm.
early months, it put me at ease, and the flexibility of when I could go in my office put me at ease, because it didn't force me to be separated from my child. And I have to say, when I have my kids out, because I'm, again, stay-at-home mom, and I take my kids out, and especially when I have little babies, and my waitress, I talked to a lady who was working at social services, and they'll go, oh, I just had a baby, and I go, how do you feel about, this is a common question that I ask, because I'm always curious, because I know that I'm privileged and having been a stay-at-home mother. And I say, how do you feel about being separated from your baby? And I've never had a woman say they're okay with it. I'm sure there are women who are okay with it, but most women would prefer, if there were options, to not have these great spans of time. Most women do it out of necessity, not because they are desirous of it. And what we get women who are upper middle class and, wealthy women who start talking about things that aren't even luxuries for the average woman, who is literally separated from her baby, because if she's not separated, they don't eat, or they don't have a roof over their head. And so we tend to argue feminist conversations from privileged places without consideration of women who don't have the privilege to be disgruntled about the things that we're disgruntled about.
I'm
Can I
not
just
privileged by any
interject
means,
really
but
quickly?
Oh, no, not you in
yeah.
particular. I just mean feminism in general.
Oh yeah, yeah. I see what you mean.
I got a thumbs down on this one. Really?
I was, can I
I don't
interject
know.
really quickly?
Go ahead, Sister Nyota.
What I was going to say, see, this is where the conversation turns to class. Because the
Right.
sister that works at McDonald's, she's having a whole different conversation. She's not bringing her children or her dog, to work.
Right.
So I
Mhm.
think when we have this conversation, especially when we're talking about Black women, people just assume that we're all coming from the same position when we're not.
Mhm. You're right, and that's the first uh, that's the first woman I thought of, and I thought of that, my sister, um, working two jobs, you know, over and one job was overnight, and I had to be up for 8 weeks because she needed her rest, and she couldn't do that. She couldn't take her son, my nephew, to those two jobs. I didn't even want her to drive. His dad is not there. And I didn't want her driving. I said, you need as much rest and, the least amount of stress as possible. And I was doing that driving. Even in my profession, people will look at you and call security. You bring your child into a laboratory.
I mean, not
You
just
bring your
that,
child
the
into
women
a
who work,
BSL lab or into McDonald's or Burger King and see what happens. And I see what you're saying, Nyota.
I mean, the woman who works at McDonald's also, she probably doesn't even have insurance, you
Uh,
know?
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
And that's another whole conversation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's why I look at the feminists on both sides because they argue about a lot of things, and I'm like, there's simple a lot of times simple fixes and to these things, and they argue about some things that are like, okay, um, that's why I said earlier, you say that you have agency, but then it's like there's so many women in those political positions that are not, maybe I don't know, maybe they don't know that women at different levels are dealing with these things, or I don't know. But the healthcare thing is very, yeah, you're right. Healthcare thing is very important.
Yeah, that's something to think about, ladies. I'm glad you guys having this conversation because this is stuff that I think people need to hear with Sisters of Means versus all that other fluff that we've been hearing on YouTube these days. We hearing some things from substance. I appreciate you, ladies. Um, Anyone else wanted to clear up anything with this last question or anything? Okay, so I guess we're going to move on. I got a clip to share. This is one of the most popular things that's been going in spaces for the last couple of weeks. Let me go ahead and share it real quick, and let me see you guys' take on this. I think I'm gonna put up like maybe three or 4 minutes of it, maybe less. But let's see. Well, I think a few things, and I appreciate you raising that, Roland. Let me go back so y'all can hear his question. Here we go. This is where collaboration is important. And so, with that in mind, you're there on the West Coast, Alicia's there on the West Coast. To me, this is an opportunity, I think, for the two of you to get together, for the other activists to get together. And so, as opposed to Cube's contract and then the Black Citizens Project, that what the CBC is doing, this is how you take Black Collective and say, how do we take all of these plans and then begin to move and then get the policies that we want? Alicia and Cube, what do y'all think about that? Alicia first. Well, I think a few things, and I appreciate you raising that, Roland. I mean, to me, we can't have movement on an agenda without a movement. And there are so many incredible organizers and activists all over this country who are coming together and fighting back every single day. And that is what it actually takes to create this level of change. I will say that, Cube, I agree with you in terms of your frustration. I've been frustrated too. I took the Black Agenda 2020 to these campaigns, to the party, and I've had a hell of a time getting phone calls back. I've had to do a lot of maneuvering even to get the smallest pieces of our plan inside any kind of platform. And so that is to be criticized, and we need to keep holding their feet to the fire.
But where I disagree with the conclusion here is that I don't think justice is a business transaction. I think if we're going to change systems, policies, and laws, we have to get in the game and stay in the game. And I don't think it's a simple, you give me this, I get that back, I give you this, you get that back. We have to govern an entire country, and we can't govern that way. Donald Trump is governing that way, and that's what's not working. I also want to just offer here that for me, I've heard Van Jones and others say that people need to go to the people in power. And I actually, think I understand the premise behind that. But what it overshadows in my mind is it allows them to get off the hook for all of the other egregious things that they do to our communities. I can't help but feel sick when I hear Donald Trump, talking about the First Step Act, but then also telling the Proud Boys to stand back and stand by. And I don't get to actually look past that. That impacts my everyday life. I get death threats every single day from people who are listening to this president. And therefore, I don't have any confidence that even in the sense that he implements something like the First Step Act when it's convenient for him and talks mess about it when it's not, I don't have any confidence that the amount of power has been built actually to get these things done. I don't fault you for trying to move an agenda, but I don't think we can take any shortcuts here. And I certainly don't think we can jump the line. And, it would be one thing if people actually weren't working on this every day. Imagine what we could do together, Cube, if I had access to a platform like this. But I don't have any.
Hold on, Alicia, I know Cube has to go, but Cube, go ahead.
This contract has been out for months. So there's been, if anybody wanted to work with me, I've been open invitations from day one to work together, make the platform better. And, nobody has, or very few have come out to do that. So, I'm not going to wait to get nobody's line. If I feel like I can speak for Black people, I'm going to go speak for Black people to whoever. And, you have a plan for Biden win, but what's your plan if Trump wins? You have to have a plan for either president. And so in either administration, we can't just go dormant because this is the problem I think that's been happening with us. We go dormant. We don't push both parties hard to do what needs to be done, what's right. And, some people got a whole country to run. We don't have a whole country to run. Black people in a bad situation. We don't have a pot to piss in. We ain't even really in the damn equation when you really look at it. We just get to show up and we get to go home still broke. And unless you have capital in America, you're not going to be really involved in what's going on in America when it comes to running the whole country. So we got to look after Black people and figure out how to get money in the hands of families and in this country into businesses that went down. We got to figure out how to get a lot of capital into those hands.
So can we do this here then? Can we do this? You can.
All right. So I know Roland's trying to do the whole kumbaya, but just wanted to put a little bit out there. So if you see on the banner right there, based on her, because I believe I believe she's one of the so-called founders of that whole movement or what have you. How much do you know? How much do you know about BLM? Just if you can just give it a nice little, quick breakdown if you know anyone. Let's start with Sister Nyota.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I was muted.
Are you able to turn your sound up a little bit?
Excuse me?
Are you able to turn? Is there any way to turn your sound up a little bit because you're so low?
I'm low. Can you hear me?
I think that got better. Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
Yes.
A big part of the problem with Black Lives Matter is that the majority of people don't even know who Black Lives Matter is. They latched on to a hashtag, okay? And That was it. I mean, of course, you hear Black Lives Matter, everyone's going to agree with that. Who's going to say Black lives don't matter? But the problem is you got to look beyond the hashtag, and it's not just enough to say, oh, you can separate the org from the hashtag, because they are one and the same. And what Black Lives Matter is, it is a front for the Democrat Party, for nonprofits, for billionaire philanthropists such as George Soros, such as Warren Buffett, and different people like that. They just put a black face on it. They sent them to Ferguson to hijack what we started. We were the people you guys saw out there, hands up, don't shoot. That was us. We were the ones getting attacked, chased by tanks, chased by soldiers, tear gas. That was us. That was not Black Lives Matter. If you do your research, you will see that there are no videos or photos of Black Lives Matter leading anything. They didn't lead us. They came here as freedom fighters, and when they came here, they didn't come under the umbrella as Black Lives Matter. There was no Black Lives Matter. There was no Black Lives Matter until they came here, met with people within the nonprofit industrial complex here, Black Democrats here, members of the Black clergy here, and they all got together and said that they were going to do something totally different. Now, meanwhile, we're out getting tear gas. Okay, we're out protesting. We don't know any of this happened until we turn on the news and we see Alicia Garza and Patrice and Opal and D-Ray and all of these people professing to be us and our leaders. Okay, so you have to get back to how this all began. You can't just jump in, the middle and think that you are fighting this just fight, with Black Lives Matter when you have no idea who they even are. Now to address, what she said, I mean, first it's like, who the hell does she think she is that someone has to jump in line behind her?
Right.
Who is Alicia Garza? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
No one has to fall in line behind her. And if she was putting in the work, and if it was, what's the word, productive, then there would have been no need for Ice Cube. They've had 6 years. They have raised billions of dollars off of the death of dead Black people, and we have absolutely nothing to show for it. Why wasn't that money invested in our communities instead of Act Blue? So Alicia Garza and Black Lives Matter and all the people behind them that are pushing this narrative, it's the insult on top of the injury. It's bad enough that we're already going through this, but then to have, our struggle exploited in this manner, and people who speak out attacked, the fact that they can get away with that, it makes my blood boil. And politics is a transaction. You're telling me politics isn't a transaction when I see all this money that's going out to every other group, when I see every other group that's benefiting from their votes, and we don't benefit from
Right.
anything.
Right.
So and even with the first step, she has so much angst with Donald Trump, about the Proud Boys. Okay, well, let's get back to the first step. What about Joe Biden and the 1994 crime bill?
Mm.
What about that?
Hello.
Well,
Did
I'm,
she
I'm
even
sorry,
did
man.
she
I'm
even
really
mention that?
passionate about this.
No, you're fine. Did she even mention that? I
No, she doesn't.
did
Of
not watch
course,
the
she's
whole
not going to
exchange.
mention that.
I don't understand that. Like, it's like, I remember Black Lives Matter came to prominence in my mind. This was after Trayvon Martin was killed by George Zimmerman, and it was just it's kind of a loose organization, and then it started to become more, very quickly, became more solid. And I mean, overseas, people were like, "Yo, what have you heard of Black Lives Matter?" I'm like, what? Like, like it was crazy. Like, how you all the way in India, how you know about this? And it was just everywhere. And now looking at this, she absolutely was wrong. Alicia, like, you're wrong. All the things that she's saying, you jump in the line, This is not a transaction. You're right, Nyota. I absolutely agree with you. I'm seeing people in other countries talking about how they want to start chapters. This is years ago. How they want to start chapters. It's starting a chapter, starting different groups, whether foreign or domestic. That's a transaction. There's an agreement that has to be made. Whether the transaction is short term or long term, that's still what that is. She does business every day, hiring security guards that help to guard her and keep her safe, right? They got to get paid something. They don't get paid off air. So my whole thing is like, stop pretending like people are stupid. That's my problem that I have with her and people like her. Don't pretend that. Stop pretending. Stop thinking like everybody out here is stupid. Like we're gonna listen to everything you have to say. We're not. Like Ice Cube is a perfect example of going against that. Not standing on one side even when that side is losing clearly. But I digress. I'm gonna stop. I'm not a politics person, so I'll just I'll pull back.
And Sister Nyota, you wanted to finish up what you were saying?
I
My bad.
mean, no, you are fine. I appreciate you.
I like how y'all passed the mic. That was good.
But I mean, no one elected Black Lives Matter. No one elected Elisa Garza.
Oh, thank you.
She's not the president of Black people. We don't have to listen to her. We don't have to follow her. We don't have to go through Black Lives Matter. We don't have to do any of that. We don't even have to go through the Democrat Party. I don't understand where there's this assumption, that our votes are owned. I don't get that. So everyone else has a choice, but we can't exercise choice.
Yeah. And Sister Nikole, will you finish with your commentary?
Yeah, I feel like you're in my head, Nyota, because like everything you're saying, like I was thinking, I have had discussions about that. I'm like, I asked my mom once, I was like, when did we have an election I didn't know about? I was asleep or something. And she was like, what? I said, did we elect Alicia and the Opal
Exactly.
and the other ladies? Did they have an election or something that we missed?
Yeah.
And she was like, no. And then she was like, but you got to go with them. You got to follow them. I said, follow them to do what? Like, I don't even know what they're doing half the time. They flip flopping all the time. Like, if you had a solid, it's crazy because because they've been around a long time and haven't gotten anything off the ground. Ice Cube comes with this. He said it's been out for months. Where have you been? That's just kind of like exactly where have you been? You guys don't. If you're political, then where is your political, you know, eyes and ears to pick up on something like that, something that's that significant? With
I,
that a person with that much influence. You know.
I was just gonna add one thing really quickly. Is they've had time, and they had money to do
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is they wanted to do the past 6 years, and they've done nothing. I think the pushback Ice Cube is
Mm-hmm.
getting, I don't think it has anything to do with any of that. I think it has to do with the fact that he exposed this, that he's only been doing this since George Floyd, and he's already meeting with an administration, whereas they've been out here 6 years and they've raised billions of dollars and they have nothing to show for it. And then when you look at the Congressional Black Caucus, I mean, some of them have been in there 20, 30 years. And they haven't been able to do what Ice Cube has done in a matter of months. That's what's upsetting.
You guys hear from these ladies here. This is what ladies, they're not the only ones thinking and saying these things. So I want y'all, that's why I have this show. So y'all can hear the other sides here. We got Sister Irene. What is your take, sister?
Well, I am glad that somebody who was there from the movement from its inception can speak on it, because I personally don't like the monster that has become Black Lives Matter. When I heard this woman speak, and I'm so glad the other two sisters said it first, because I thought I was going to say it and then I would be the odd woman out. Like, is she tripping or does she have a problem? But as far as jumping the line, honestly, I have trouble with these conversations. Like, I engage in them because it's relevant, because our people are choosing to participate in the current system as it stands. But to me, it is a sad day when Black people are pressing other Black people for whether or not they step to the master's table with the, with the proposal first. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are you talking to Massa in the big house? I've been standing here waiting to talk to Massa in the big house and, shucking and jiving this whole time. Why are you trying to jump ahead of me? And I just think, that is problematic in and of itself. Like, it's bothersome to even be in a position to have to ask the very system that created your problem to rectify what it's done, right? In good faith. It's awkward to be in that position at all. It's extra ridiculous to say that. Now, I have to say, I wasn't thrilled when they approached Ice Cube, because I felt like, Ice Cube, that's who we're approaching. But at the same time, I appreciated that he went and he consulted other people, and he didn't just take it upon himself to do something that he knew people were better qualified. And I think he said something to that effect when he was responding to her. But more than anything, also, she seems very Trump triggered. Do you know what I mean? Like, none of these people are our friends. None of them. Biden thinks that it was, basically a storybook that Obama was bathed and articulate and attractive. Do you know what I mean? So I just don't think that it's weird to uplift anybody in this system and fight amongst ourselves over who got to have the conversation first. But if what the sister was saying is true, which is that there is an agenda behind what we now consider to be Black Lives Matter, then it would explain why she was in her feelings. Mm-hmm. I just think that we have to recognize that anything that is uplifted by the status quo, like Black Lives Matter has been, is definitely a trap. It's definitely something that we want to separate ourselves from. And when we look, again, just going back to the Black community in general, when we look at the Black community and we align that to what Black Lives Matter is putting out as their agenda is problematic for our community. Their agenda is adverse to what our community needs, despite the fact that they're throwing a hashtag on it. I mean, they're more about homosexual lives than they are Black lives at that. They're more for pushing a far left agenda. And I don't mean that like a Democrat agenda. I mean far left as in the mindset of the far left, where they take everything to the extreme and everything has to be ultra alternative to be valid and right. And, they're into this whole your child is a community property type thing. All this stuff that they're into is problematic and dangerous, right? Because you get people indoctrinated to these ideologies, and we already have a problem in the Black community with the state trying to take our children and have authority over our children in the Black community. And then we hitch onto something because nobody wants to say Black lives don't matter, right? And it's such a catchy phrase and it's such a catchy hashtag, right? But nobody wants to say that they don't. So then it's like you really can't push back against the organization to the point where their leaders, and representatives feel comfortable coming forward as bullies. Because at the end of the day, if you really believe what you say, what we believe you say, because I think nobody looks past the fact that they're saying Black Lives Matter, like the sister said, then you don't care who is the author of any change that comes. But it's even more interesting because nobody's done anything with what Ice Cube threw forward. You know what I mean? Nothing has been done anyway. It would be different if something had been accomplished. This is all based on a conversation, and we get too hyped up in the Black community over talking. People have been talking to us since slavery ended. It was 40 acres and a mule then. It's a Black agenda today. Like, you know what I mean? Talk is cheap. And we really shouldn't get so emotional over that. But this divisionary tactic is something that is popular with organizations that claim to herald, issues that are pertinent to Black people. And we need to start looking more to grassroots organizations and stop with the political pandering unless we're going to have some aggressive political involvement as a whole.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do before we go into Sister Shalana, I'm going to give some shout outs to some and acknowledgments to some super chats and cash apps. We got Gold Professor. Appreciate the Cash App fam or the Super Chat. And the Cash App. Appreciate you, fam. We have Sister Nikole Ali with the Super Chat. Appreciate you, sister. Who was the other one? There was T Riddler. Thank you for the Super Chats there. We're gonna read those questions after, and if the sisters have time, we read those questions, and then we have it's an Anikas. Was it? I can never say his name right. It's Anisitas. 316. Sister Solanda, take it from here. What is your take on what you just heard and what you saw?
Wow, I just like to thank Sister Nyota for being here, because I think that it's great hearing from someone again, pretty much coming from the beginning of the movement. Now, the thing, what I knew about Black Lives Matter was that it started off being a very, positive thing until it got infiltrated, I guess would be the lack of a better word. Because again, with Trayvon Martin and different things of that matter, with a lot of unarmed Black men being just gunned down and treated very poorly, which I would like to just say that that's just domestic terrorism, but that's a whole nother that's a whole nother topic. So
Yep.
that was how much I had knew about it. And then as things changed, like with everything that happened with not just with Ahmaud Arbery, and then of course we had George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, David McAtee, and so many others, it just seems to just have had like the whole movement, not the whole movement, but it just appeared that the whole movement had just been hijacked. And I'm like, well, what's going on with Black Lives Matter over there? And then whenever looking at their website, I was looking at their mission statement, and I didn't see hardly anything about as far as Black men and the family. And I'm like, okay, I saw like women empowerment and all this other stuff and LGBTQ, and I'm like, okay, I mean, I'm not against anyone's personal preference or their sexuality. I mean, it is what it is. But I'm like, what happened? But I am thankful, sister, that you are here to sort of set the record straight as far as what all happened.
Yeah, I'm thankful for her being here too, because I have to disagree with you a little bit, Irene. I agree with most of what you said, like 99.8%. But that little bit, I have to disagree when he said, what have they done? Actually, in my field, they have actually done a lot as far as influencing how I always said that science and politics, even though I'm not a political person too much, but science and politics do go hand in hand. For us to pass things, and meaning like getting grants, getting millions of dollars for research, has to go through Congress, it has to go through legislatures, it has to go through lobbyists. You have to show proof of concept of your project before it can get off the ground. Before I can even apply, it has to have proof of concept. And a lot of our money for genetic research and to help people, men and women who have cancer or different diseases, Black Lives Matter directly influence how some of these studies are done. We have, like back to the basics just said, we have a lot of, especially here in California, LA specifically, a lot of transgender teens. I'm still trying to understand that concept. The medical industry has incorporated those things that they say into trials, into intervention programs, counseling programs, counseling for the parents dealing with children that are quote unquote transgender or self-identified or confused or queer and questioning, things like that. So there is that is something that they have done that literally has a function, at least in science and medicine, because we have different drugs being tested, different techniques that are being patented and trademarked. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, because once again, it takes away resources and attention from people who have been here, who are veterans, who are disabled veterans, who need that money for research to help them. So I'm not saying that's a good thing, but they do influence how things go in the medical and science industry. For me, at least, I see that directly, that direct
Can I?
impact on my work.
Here. Wow. So did we cover? Let me see. I'm wondering.
I want to
Because I think.
respond to that.
Oh, go ahead, sister. Go ahead.
Okay. Here is the problem. There are a lot of issues, that we're facing, but that doesn't give Black Lives Matter the right to hijack an autonomous Black movement, and direct funding and overshadow the grassroots and divert the attention and resources into what they deem, you know, um, is worthy. They don't get to make that decision. I'm the one that was on the streets. I'm the one that got, tear gas, that got chased, by tanks and soldiers. I'm that person. They didn't do any of that. So for them to come in, and just hijack what we started and use that to catapult themselves position and do what they want to do, that's wrong. If they wanted to have a movement for that, they could have started their own separate movement for that.
Yeah, I understand. Wow, that's pretty huge. Um, yeah, because I think that
Understand the ends
yeah,
doesn't justify the means.
yeah, and I think the craziest part is that a lot of people still not seeing it like worldwide. It's like a handful of us. I mean, what kind of spells or effects or selling points are they getting so many people to jump on the bandwagon?
I'm going to tell you this. Go to Netroots. Actually, I'm going to give you a link that you can put in the comments. Netroots, where it discusses like all of this, like how they do it, how they create these hashtags, how they push the hashtags, how to respond, how they have their little Twitter armies. I mean, it's all manufactured. It's all orchestrated. Okay, none of that is genuine or grassroots. Okay, and they're just taking the money and using it to fund different issues, the issues that they deem worthy. The problem is they're doing it off of the Black struggle. That's the problem. They're doing it off of Black sacrifice, and it's not to the benefit of all Black people.
Hmm. And so did we kind of go over the part about if you feel the founders of BLM speaks for sisters in Black America? Did we touch on that a little bit when some of your comments or?
I mean, I think that's obvious. They don't.
But they're trying, right?
They're being propped up.
Okay, I got you.
That appearance.
By like the presidential candidates, people that are in political positions, philanthropists.
The NPIC, the Democrat Party, billionaire philanthropists. I mean, WikiLeaks exposed this. Democrat emails, exposed this. Just this week, there was an article about Warren Buffett.
Right, I heard about
Black
that.
Lives Matter.
I heard about that. Warren Buffett of all people.
And so what gets me is why aren't we as Black people having that conversation? Why are we allowing this, AstroTurf movement, to exist as though it's an autonomous Black movement when it isn't? And it's actually hurting us because it's diverting attention and resources and energy and money away from what we are fighting. And it's funding other issues. It's funding Democrat candidates. It's funding Biden Harris. So we're funding our own oppression.
Wow. Man, I mean, I hope you guys have a little bit more time for the last few questions because I think it kind of ties into what you ladies are talking about. If you have enough time for the last few.
I may, but I may have to hop off.
Okay. So I'll just put the more crucial ones first, and then the other ones can just be fluff. um, so this one is from the Foxhole Queens of, I think it says the Queens Ask Q uh, about Black women in the contract. Okay, so I'm just going to find a little snippet, and this is pretty interesting. But a lot of people had takes on it. But let's see what's going on.
And dealing with our situation.
Let's move the clock.
So I gotta ask this question. If you're on this show with the cocktails with the Queen, and there's a reason for that. It wasn't to have you defend Donald Trump. It was about, I care about what's in this contract with Black America for women, and we're not mentioned at all in the contract with Black America. And
I mean, when you mention Black people, you mentioning Black women, so don't count yourself out.
No, that's not true. It's like administration say that when they
Black people is not Black women. Black women are not included in Black people.
No, but that's what you're saying. That's like when the president says minorities, then he's including Black people. But we all know that's not the case. Black women have specific needs that are not also being met. And we also feel that there should be some things that are specific to us and our plight as well. And I understand that. I feel like as a Black woman, you can leave. I feel like
I just offered y'all to write a section up for it. I just said I don't mind if you guys help us. If you guys help us write a section. Y'all been open to all kind of experts in putting this together. It wasn't just me. We dealt with experts in all fields of this contract with Black America. So we're willing to deal with experts in the section when it comes to women. So that's no problem.
okay,
I'll help you write it. Say
you do get the money. How soon do you think your plan is going to go into effect?
When
will we start seeing the benefits?
I'm not getting 1 quarter. Okay, this is something he's promising to the country, and he's gonna have to implement it in a way he feel that can fit.
Okay, but can I just ask though, what would you see this plan doing for the first year for us if he's reelected?
I'm not part of the administration.
Well,
I'm here for Black people. I'm here to talk to both administrations about the contract with Black America. The Platinum Plan is not mine. Didn't name it. Didn't put it together. All I did was meet about the contract with Black America. They added some things, and I'm willing to meet with both sides. They can add some things or not. It's fine.
And they ran off immediately and did statements that you're basically a Republican now. That's on
them, that ain't on me.
Okay.
That's on them, that's not on me.
I just want to make sure. We just want clarity.
We can't all talk at the same time. I gotta ask a question now. With over 20,000 lies told to the American people by this president, I'm a former friend of Donald Trump. I work with him. I made money with him.
Okay. I think we've seen enough.
My Lord.
Oh, my bad. Excuse me.
Oh man. Let's see. All right. So the one that stuck out to me was that the women has a specific agenda aside from Black men. In a way, I'm adding aside from Black men, but they got some specific. The question is, based on what you saw, you can comment on the video as well. But hopefully you can address if that is the case, if they have a valid point. Is there a specific agenda needed politically for Black women?
You know what? There's a specific agenda needed for Black people. And within that, there's a specific agenda needed for Black women, for Black men, for Black children. You know what I'm saying? This is a process. It's going to be a marathon, not a sprint. There's not going to be one plan that solves everything. Okay? That's the first thing. You know, the second thing is I'm looking at all of this energy that these sisters have, but I have yet to see any of them have any of this energy with the people who are actually in power. You know, where is this energy for Kamala Harris? Why didn't they have her on them? Why wasn't she on? You know, to talk about her record as the California Attorney General. You know, why? I mean, do you think Joe Biden would come and sit and subject himself to that from them? And he has the ability, you know, to implement a plan for Black women. Do you think he would even meet with them? He wouldn't even meet with Ice Cube. You know, so to me, for them to sit there and berate Ice Cube for trying, you know, when none of them can show us a plan, you know, where they've even thought about helping Black women, the Black women that they are so concerned about. Where's Vivica's plan? I want to see it. I'm a sister. I need some help, Vivica.
I think she wants the right to have more false nails or something. I don't know. I'm just messing with you.
Oh.
Saw that in the video, how the fingers were flaring, but I'm sorry. But go ahead.
Yeah. And the fact that they said something, yeah, that was really critical. Like, you know, he was like, well, you know, like when they said, oh, Black women, we need a section for Black women. Like, I thought it was everything started was Black men, Black women, Black child fighting for justice, equality, and everything. You need your own section in there, and okay, like if you know, so like he said, like Hugh said, okay, Black women aren't Black people. What are you talking about? Like you know, are you separate? We're separate,
Exactly.
but not equal. You know, like what is this? This childishness, like how are you that old and don't know what's going on? Like how you that old? Vivica old enough to have grandkids or something. Like how you? Well, you know, I guess, but I mean, how you that old and don't understand how things work, how politics work? If you're in that arena, you know, they've been around. Like Claudia, she said she worked with Trump. Like, okay, you know what's going on. You're surprised because a Black man is telling you if you want an agenda for yourself, write it.
Exactly.
Then he conceded by saying, okay, you know what? I'll write the section for you. No, don't write the section for me. I don't need you. You know, and when I noticed he said something, Vivica said something very, very telling about her and a lot of women that think like her. He said, you know, well, why don't you guys write the section? Oh, we gotta write it. We gotta do our own work. Oh, we gotta do it for ourselves. You got dang right. You gotta do it for yourself. You want it for yourself. You gotta do it. I want a grant. I have to write the grant on my own. 98% of it is me. You want something done? Get it done. If you got agency, you got all this, you know, chutzpah and everything about yourself, all this confidence and everything. You got your millions and doing your thing with your little dogs and stuff in the bags, you know, whatever they do, your red bottoms and everything. Write it yourself because you would know what to write because you're a Black woman, correct? Or you're a Black woman trying to be a white woman. I don't know. But you would know to put in the paperwork because you're a Black woman. You have that Black female experience. You know, why are you putting him up to you take the slings and arrows and you sit back and chill drinking a pina colada? That ain't fair. That's not right. Then he said, you know what? I'll write it for you. I'll do it for you then. Which is probably what I would have said. Forget it then. I'll write it for you. But at the same time, I would have said, if I write it for you, don't get mad about the outcome of what I write for you. Because you had the opportunity. You've had the opportunity to write this. It almost seems as if they are on the side of Alicia. Like if you're on the side of Alicia, go over there. Go over there and help her do what she's doing. She needs some help, you know. But that whole exchange, it really showed like Lisa Ray didn't say much with the purple hair, and I know why. You know, Q gave her her first job, or, you know, I guess, you know, big screen and everything. I understand that, but from every instance, when you look at it, the dynamic, just the simple dynamic of who is in a healthy relationship. Just think about that. Answer that. If you can think of that question, think about the answer in your head. Who is in a healthy relationship on that panel?
Zero.
Q.
Well,
Q. Am I right? He been married for a while. I don't know. Hasn't he been married for a while? You know, the ladies up there, you know, just the logic is just it's gone. But you know, I'll pass the mic. Y'all do your thing.
Yeah, I would. Oh,
go ahead, sister. Go ahead.
I was just saying.
Wow. Yeah, that just, I mean, me personally, after just watching the little bit of clip that you played, Brother Art, that was embarrassing. I mean, all that head shaking, all these putting up these fingers and all that. It's like, listen, just talk one at a time so that people can actually understand what it is that you're asking. I mean, and just to piggyback quickly off of what our sister Nikole had said, I mean, there was a lot of things that were telling, oh yeah, we got to write our own stuff. Well, yeah, I mean, you're asking for a section specifically for Black women, which again is divisive. So now it's almost like, okay, here we go with this Black men versus Black women thing. Like this is getting ridiculous. This is just a house divided is definitely gonna fall. So it's a hot mess. It's a hot mess. You just need to you just need to kill with all that noise, because all that's all I heard was just a bunch of noise. I didn't hear any solutions at all. It was sad, but yet that one person had the nerve to say, "Oh, I work for Trump." Okay, so you could have wrote something, right?
Yeah, she's no Omarosa. And Sister Irene, I know you got something on this one.
Oh, they were rude. It was pretty disgusting. But this division that's being pushed on social media to tear Black men and women apart. And first of all, I'm going to say something that I know most people are going to disagree with. There are no interests that are specifically Black male or Black female. All interests that affect Black men affect Black women and vice versa, right? So we're trying to, and honestly, the issues that affect Black men and Black women that we would call different are just things that would be different because we're men and women, right? The Black part is the part that causes us a problem. It's not that we're men, it's not that we're women, right? That is the problem, because there are men and women of all kinds, right? But it's the fact that we are Black men and Black women, emphasis on the word Black. And so that is what the problem is, right? All of our problems don't stem from our maleness or our femaleness. The problems that we need addressed stem from our Blackness. And if we can't get on the page of comprehending that and want to turn everything into a gender war as if somehow the key issue here isn't the Blackness. Like when we were enslaved, there were things that slave women suffered through and things that enslaved men suffered through, but they were all enslaved because they were Black. When the tribe over in the Andaman Islands, when 6 out of those 10 tribes were annihilated by the British, I'm sure there were atrocities that happened to women and atrocities that happened to the men, but those 6 tribes were wiped out because they were Black. When they bred out the Aboriginal people practically to extinction and exterminated the Tasmanians, there were troubles that the women suffered from and troubles that the man suffered from. But you know what? All the Tasmanians are dead together. And when they put up Niggerhead Rock, sorry, I apologize,
That's okay.
but that's what it's called, right? They weren't gender specific. That word applies to us all. So I think it's stupid. I think it's stupid to claim that there are issues within issues. No, there's issues with Blackness. The male and female issues are male and female issues. Your skin color has nothing to do with issues because you're a man or a woman or a child. The problem and what we're trying to have rectified are the issues that came with our Blackness. And it would behoove all of us to not forget that.
Okay. All right. So I got one more clip to share, just to add a little balance, because we've been throwing it on the left a little bit. But we have a very famous personality. Her name is Candace Owens. Okay. So I got probably about a minute or two of some of the things that she has to share. This is last year, but this is pretty much most of her talking points. I know there's more, but I'm just gonna play a few minutes, and then we're gonna talk about that, and then we're gonna start winding down. Okay, here we go.
Truth number one: America is not a racist country. The people that continue to tell us that have a vested interest in racism. In fact, they're actively now importing Nigerians to come do racist acts in this country, a la Jesse Smollett, right? This is MAGA country. No, this is your prison cell. And I hope you rot in it, Jesse.
Okay, sorry about that. There was more.
Hitting truth, a hard-hitting truth, is that the most unsafe place for a Black child is not on the streets, it's not when they see a police officer, it's in their mother's womb. More than half of the Black population would be double today if it wasn't for abortion. We've lost 18 million Black babies since 1973. How's that for a progressive policy? Is that what they're celebrating?
And especially for AOT, so they getting it in. I said there's one more that she has. Let's see.
3.6 million.
Here we go.
There are 3.6 million Black children living below the poverty line. There are 4 million Hispanic children that live below the poverty line. And yet Democrats want us to put illegals first. I say no thank you. I say build the wall.
Okay. I didn't get to put all the stuff there, but I think what I was trying to point out is the fact that she said that she pretty much tones down the whole thing about racism in this country. How do you feel about that on the right? Is she necessarily representing the right, or is it something that she's just pulling out for her self-interest?
Oh yeah, I had to get in on this one because this heifer right here. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
My bad. Hold on.
I wasn't sure if I was muted or not.
Go ahead, sister.
What percentage of Black people do you think listen to Candace Owens?
I think about 10 maybe.
OMG, thank you so much.
So it's like she's not even relevant. You know what I'm saying? There are Black YouTubers that probably have larger audiences, that do have larger audiences, within the Black community than Candace Owens. I mean, she's just downplaying. I mean, that's her job, to be the Black face, of the Republican Party, and she plays that role very well. As for everything else that she says, as far as, children and things like that, I think all you have to do is look at their records. You know what I'm saying? Look at how they treat children that aren't alive. We have like living children now that we can use as an example of, to show how they really don't care about Black and brown children. They don't. Okay, because if they did, then those statistics that she read off about children being in poverty, that would not be the reality.
Right.
And I don't even know what else she said, because I can't do Candace Owens.
Yeah, her whole premise.
So maybe someone else can.
Her whole premise was that there's no racism in America. Well, no, America is not a racist country. That was she said.
It's not.
That what she said. That was the first
country that was built on enslaving Black people is not racist.
She's married to a man whose family got their wealth and their upright standing within the community, the Caucasian community, and the business community off of peddling flesh, aka slavery in this country. So she's a clown.
That slavery is okay.
Right, that's okay.
Okay,
but,
I got it. I got you. Thank you
for her.
Okay. No, I'm just saying thank you for, clarifying that for me.
There's good slavery and there's bad slavery. Y'all got to know the difference. There's we good niggas and bad niggas. Good slavery.
Okay. Okay, thank you guys for setting me straight.
That's why they got a toothpaste. You gotta smile. You gotta smile from during that pain.
You gotta smile and get that just for me perm, so you look fresh every day. You gotta get that just for me, get it together. But yeah, she's a clown. I can't even. I try to. I try to sugarcoat it from time to time, but baby, I just I just can't with her.
But
And you have women who are older who are conservatives, and they're just like she's a waste of time. I mean, it's a distraction for them.
the president takes her very serious.
Who?
The president, our president.
Oh,
Well, he doesn't have many black people to choose from. You know what I'm saying?
right. True.
Were you finished, Sister Nikole?
Yeah, I'm done. I was just laughing. Okay.
Okay. Sister Irene, what's your take on the video?
Um, Candace Owens, I agree with her on a lot of things, but she always takes it that one step too far. And she gets paid to take it that one step too far. She's not so much talking to black people, although that's how they try to pan it. You know, they try to peddle it like she's talking to black people to get black people to come over to the Republican Party. But she's not really talking to black people. She's saying the things that need to be said for white people who are racist and have these racist thoughts to feel better about themselves. Because then they have somebody who is very phenotypically black, right? On the darker skin side, with traditional, like what we associate with black features, and having her say it then makes them okay. And that's really what she's there for. That's what she gets paid to do. She lives a much more comfortable life now than she did before she started down this road. And so we can't expect anything else from her. I mean, once you attach a paycheck to spewing a certain rhetoric, then, you know, it's hard for people to give that up. I feel bad for her sometimes because, you know, really recently she did an interview and the man that was interviewing her was so disgusting and disrespectful, but because she had backed herself into this corner where nothing offends me, right, because I'm not a snowflake, she couldn't even be offended by the things that were offensive. But what's more is what he was doing was indicative of things that men do when they don't respect you, right? So, for example, if we're hanging around, you know, our friends and stuff, somebody could tell a lewd joke, right? But if you're not intimate with somebody like that, it's only a woman that you disrespect that you're going to be lewd in front of, right? That's not something you do with a woman that you respect or that you think demands your respect or is worthy of your respect. And what she doesn't realize is she's not respected by them, but she is a tool for them to feel good about themselves. The biggest danger in Candace Owens to me is that what she says prevents people who might have otherwise changed their mindset and how they think on the white side of the coin to, it will prevent them from making changes they would have made if somebody was just honest with them. She lacks balance. But honestly, on one side, we have people that are so far, you know, to the left that they lack balance. She's just one of those that's so far to the right. But there's more money in that. What did Dr. Claude Anderson said? Show me a black person that's willing to basically talk bad about black people and say everything white people want to hear, and I'll show you somebody who's going to get rich. And she found the hustle. So it is what it is.
You asked a question that I was about to ask. That's probably because you're a Leo. That's why. And we got Sister Shalonda. I know you going in.
As I said, this heifer right here, I just can't. Like, how can an individual be so woke about Planned Parenthood and about Margaret Sanger and about the Black genocide, but yet be so gullible about white supremacy? Oh, we're not in a racial society. Are you serious? Like, what is going on? But just like Sister Irene said, hey, if you know, I guess those butter biscuits must be really good over there. So yeah, that's a mess. I can't even deal with that right now. Like, that is a Karen in blackface. I can't with that. I'm embarrassed that you are in the same generation that I'm in, because I know how old she is.
She's a millennial?
She is a millennial. She was born in 1989. And I was born in 1986, and no, I don't co-sign on no. You have been excommunicated. No, don't even know. I'm not even gonna put in work to even try to save you. No, you didn't. No, no.
Wow.
Whew, no, I can't with that one.
So I'm gonna put in. I appreciate you, sister. So I'm gonna put in the last question because I know we're really running. I know a lot of you guys have things to do. I don't know if y'all doing Halloween or whatever. I stay away from that stuff. But if y'all into that, then so be it. But when it
We'll be doing a little seance tonight, Art.
uh-oh.
No, I'm just playing.
Not the Ouija board. Right?
Yeah.
You know, put Kamala, because I wanted to talk about Kamala Harris, but we don't got time. All right, but I'm gonna ask this one here. When it comes to the Black community as a whole receiving our just due in this society, does it matter who wins as president? Let's go with Nyota. You want to take this one?
No, it doesn't matter. We're going to have a game plan regardless of who's in power. But what I will say is if Biden Harris wins, I think people will just go back to sleep, just, back to business as usual. Not understanding that we have passed like a point of no return. There's no going back. These Trump supporters aren't gonna, bury their heads in the sand for the next 4 years. They are going to be out there and probably in a way that people, right now can't even imagine. If Trump wins, I believe that people will fight more. I believe that the Democrat Party will be forced to do some type of reflection because, I mean, you lose to Donald Trump twice. The first time they could write it off as a fluke or whatever, but if it happens twice, then, I mean, there's a problem that, can't be ignored. But either way, we have to be prepared for whoever is in office. And we can't show allegiance to anyone. Our loyalties have to lie, with ourselves, looking out for our own best interests, regardless.
Okay, appreciate you, sister. Nikole Ali. What's your take
Yes.
on the last question?
You were saying if Trump wins, will it be business as usual?
No, that was something that I wanted to get to, but I see it's getting later.
You said does it matter who wins the president? Uh in terms of COVID-19, no, it does not because you see that Trump has clearly dropped the ball several occasions and it's like it would be their turn if they won, if Biden Harris won, it would be their turn to pick up the ball. They really don't know what to do. I haven't seen anything specifically that talks towards COVID except wear your mask. Oh, okay. Um, we see that's not as effective. I'm just picking one topic that they would have to one issue, major issue in this country, long term issue. Shout out to Mike V, a potential national security issue, labor issue. That we're economics. It hits health, education, politics, economics, and social. HEPS. That's my acronym for it. It does not matter. If you have Trump, you're getting some of the same. It's the devil you know.
Mm.
I think BJS said that once, it's the devil and you're going with, every time I think of Biden and Harris, it's 94 crime bill and a horrible attorney general in the state of California, together. And our powers combined, you got a potential disaster when it comes to anything pertaining prisoners with COVID-19, for instance. People getting out of prison with COVID-19, for instance. Asymptomatic prisoners being, released from maybe their sentence is over, for instance. This is just an example. I think about that. Just looking at it from COVID-19, they haven't laid out anything. He really hasn't laid out anything except showing Joe Biden talking weird and stuff and his little zombie commercials and stuff, stuff like that. That's cool, that's funny, but that's not policy. And so if I look at it just in the fact of COVID-19, it doesn't matter which one. It really depends on the staff and it depends on the legislation that they're willing to pass. Like Nyota mentioned earlier today, the second stimulus, that is absolutely necessary at this point. It's going to be very, very dark, cold winter, and I ain't talking about the weather. If that doesn't happen, going into the first quarter of 2021, that's going to be a serious labor issues. So I mean, for me, it doesn't matter either way. And I'm not just talking like, just the black community specifically. I'm talking as a whole because we still live in the United States, right? So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Sister Irene.
Yes. Can you repeat the question?
Okay, I'll read it as it prose. This time, what I'm gonna start doing is putting it in the banners. So when it comes to the black community as a whole receiving our just due in this society, does it matter on who wins as president?
No, because we're not going to get what we want from whoever wins. It doesn't matter. But here's the thing. Like I said, I'm Team Revolution. And having said that, I think Black people are just going to have to continually try to remake the wheel until they recognize that who you elect is not going to change your plight in the society. So we're either going to have to stop complaining about our plight and suck it up and competitively assimilate, or we're going to have to recognize that the system is not built for you to succeed at the levels that you would like. It's just not designed for that. And we seem to not want to accept that. So I don't think it matters who you vote for. Vote for whoever you want. Honestly, the only difference I see between these two candidates is number one, the Democrats have really pushed and regularly overstep governmental bounds, and they infringe upon individual rights more. They are very, very aggressive as far as government goes. And we've seen this come down with COVID and how they can't violate your rights outright, but they have found ways around the law to enter into, I know I'm all for being healthy, but do know that there are now penalties for you wearing or not wearing something. Like, that's really what it comes down to. That's a gross overstep of government bounds. So this is the vibe that they are on. And Biden has already said what he intends to do. So I think if you like your autonomy as a free person, then that will be less infringed on with Trump, right? But neither of these people is going to do anything significant for Black people that's going to change our status in this country. And I think that's something we just need to reconcile in our minds just straight out.
Okay. Wow. I'm sorry. I had her avatar while you were talking. Sorry about that. And then we have, last but not least, back to the basics. What's your take on the question when it comes to the Black community as a whole? When I say community, every time we say Black community, there's always this backdrop of some bricks with graffiti on it and fog on the ground and trash and people walking around scratching their neck and they got these visions, right? But the Black community is pretty much mental, physical, spiritual, anywhere in this country is considered a Black community, just us as a whole. So I have to let people know that because people have these different misconceptions of the word Black community. But when it comes to the Black community as a whole, receiving our just due in this society, does it matter who wins as president?
No, it doesn't matter who wins as president. But I do believe we should still continue to push our agenda past the election and in through inauguration and just keep right on pushing. As far as assimilating, I'm not assimilating. I understand that the system is not built for us. I got a passport. Maybe time for me to just roll on up out of the country and go somewhere else. But there's part of me that says, "Hey, stay here, stand your ground." I'm not gonna run nowhere. you know. So that's where I'm at with that. But no, I'm not assimilating. No, I get more Afrocentric by the day. No, I'm not assimilating to this Eurocentric society. No, I'm not assimilating.
Okay. Just to read a couple of super chats that I guess they had a message. I don't know if anyone wants to address them. It says, I struggle to see practicality of a company holding a position for 1 to 2 years, especially with changes in work trends and knowledge bases thoughts. I'm not sure what he's referring to. But anyone want to tackle that? Do you know what he's referring to?
Yeah, I answered it earlier. Let me try to go back up and find it. But it was pertaining to, oh Lord, that's a lot of super chats here. All right, all right. Here it is. I think it was pertaining to the discussion there that a discussion Alicia was having on Roland's show with Ice Cube, and because it was something about like you just got here, we've been here for this long and we haven't, we've done this and that. Well, I don't think she really said, but I think that she was implying that they've been here so long and how you gonna jump the line and
Oh,
but huh?
was it Garza? He's talking about Garza.
Yeah, and so she was saying that, and I think what he was trying to, and he can say in the chat what he was really trying to say. But from what I got from it is he's like, you're holding this position for 1 to 2 years. Like it's not practical just to hold it for 1 to 2 years, or like Black Lives Matter for 6 years, and there's really nothing that's coming out of it. Things are changing. Knowledge base changes, different work trends change. And I said, I see what he's saying. Practically, a company would work to establish and implement a long-term operation. But a long-term operation, keyword operation, you got to do some work and get some things done. And that's kind of what not even kind of, that did not happen. That has not happened to the full fruition as Black Lives Matter was originally what it was established for. It has detoured and come back around and left, took a shower, changed clothes, left out the house, got in another car, went another direction. It's just all over the place. So, yeah, it wasn't as, it has become an ineffective um, movement for what it was originally established for. And I think what he was talking about was like with a business, if you're handling business like that, it's not practical.
Okay. And another one is with Jay Shine, our Leo brother. I guess I have to do it in my Forrest Gump voice. When I got tired, I slept. When I got hungry, I ate. When I had to go, I went. Forrest Gump. I guess.
It's a lot of Leos up here.
Yeah, we got oof.
Yeah, y'all is rolling deep today.
A little dangerous. A little dangerous.
I have to say one thing for that. Yay.
Wow, Negro.
I had to say that. My bad.
Okay.
I love it.
No, it's all good.
So I appreciate it once again for you ladies coming up here and throwing that wisdom as always. This is the kind of stuff that I try to put for the females, and I hope you guys enjoyed yourself here, and hope that we can do more projects, of course. But anybody want to have any party shots, last words? Let us know what you have coming.
I just wanted to thank you for having me and giving me the opportunity to connect with these sisters. Right now, I'm creating Alt Black News. That's altblacknews.com, where I'm trying to just amplify as many brothers and sisters as possible. You know what I'm saying? That have viewpoints that are not the norm, or that we may not see in the mainstream. So yeah, I'm just really happy for this opportunity to connect with them, because right now, I mean, it's just really difficult to find, other sisters that aren't on that, extreme, like the panel that Ice Cube was on. So I'm just really grateful for that. And just for you having me on the platform.
Yeah, I'm grateful for you coming through, sister. We're going to build. You'll see. We'll build. Oh, we got your Sister Shalonda put your link in the chat. So
Okay,
for
thank
yeah, I'm gonna highlight it right here. So if people want to support the sister, go to that link, click on it. You know,
Well, it's
we
not just me. It's a lot of different voices. You know what I'm saying? And some of the voices might surprise you because I'm not preaching to the choir. What I want to do is to have conversations, and if it takes, putting certain people out there as bait to get their people to come to be able to present different ideas to them, I'm totally down for that.
okay. It's a great honor. Okay, Sister Nikole.
I want to thank you, Art, for having me up here once again. Thank you to the ladies up here on the panel. And I have to say, Nyota, because of your beginnings and everything in the movement, I'm honored to be on another panel with you. I appreciate, of course, back to the basics. That's my this right there. And I appreciate you. I always gain so much wisdom from you. I'm just learning about you, Irene Ivette, but you real cool. I like a lot of things you were saying and it made a lot of sense, real logical, and just
Leo,
just
it's a
I'm
Leo.
glad we can have, huh?
Irene Vet is a Leo.
Oh, that's why. Okay, okay. Yeah,
So
we
this
all
is the
Leo.
Lion's
Yeah,
Den.
Oh, are you a Leo
I think
too?
yes, I
We'll
am.
just all get along in one pride.
Wait. This is the Lion's Den.
Yeah,
That's what I think.
yeah. This is a Lion's Den. This is a
Oh
lion.
wow, I'm a Gemini.
Oh wow, you fit in.
Oh,
You fit in.
Well, I'm
you're
an
all right.
Aries, so
Oh,
I'll
I'm
be
all
bringing
right.
that fire.
Okay.
Oh, she's fire. Okay, so yeah, a perfect
Yeah.
match. Perfect match.
Yeah, I mean, I just appreciate you having me up here. Even though it's not my forte, I agree that we have to, look outside and see, like, just challenge ourselves on different ideas and concepts, and try to see other people's perspectives on issues and try to come to a solution on it. We may not agree on everything, but we can, like you always say, Art. We may not agree on everything, but just having a conversation and learning from each other is very important. So I appreciate you having me up here. Much respect.
I appreciate you. My whole thing is to learn from your opposites. And we got another Leo sister represented. He said not enough room for two middleweight lions. Go ahead, sister. Your partner shot. Let us know what's coming up and what you're doing.
Hi. Well, thank you for having me. And I encourage everybody to donate to Griot and Zayek's Institute, so that we can get some mentoring and education, support for our Black children. And as far as what I'm going to be doing, I have no idea. But I was happy to engage in this conversation. I really enjoyed meeting all of the ladies. I love all the different perspectives. That was wonderful. And I appreciate you putting together a panel with women that had diverse viewpoints, and we all voiced our opinions, but did so respectfully and were able to glean from each other. And I think that that is amazing because we need to learn how to do this more in our community. Just have conversations and listen to each other and not feel that we all have to be in an echo chamber for the conversation to be productive or that it has to be unhealthy for it to be edifying or entertaining. So, with that said, thank you for having me, Art.
Well, thank you for coming. It's been an honor because, man, every time you come up, there's always something like, man, I never thought of that. But that's Leo, so that's how you reveal everything. So I appreciate you for coming through. And we got Sister Shalonda. Take us home, Aries.
Well, first of all, I thank you so much for just inviting me on your platform. I'm honored. It's a humbling experience to be around such intelligent sisters because some people out here, there's a difference between being educated and then exercising intelligence. But that's a whole nother that's a whole nother panel discussion. um and I do love the difference of opinion. I don't, not we're not gonna all think the same. We're not a monolithic people. But I would say, yeah, we definitely got to keep this going, because this was really good.
Okay. So without any further ado, I appreciate the sisters for coming up. Whenever something come up, I'll figure it out. But but this one here, I had to hear. I had to hear intelligent women's and as a group, have this conversation. So this is key. Don't forget, we're having an election day panel on Tuesday morning at 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. Pacific. So hopefully you guys check that out. Appreciate everybody in the chat. I forgot to give brother JT a shout out for the Cash App. Appreciate you, fam. Yeah. And Sister Shalonda for the super chat. Appreciate you, sister. Yeah. I thought I forgot, huh? Not this time. I'm drinking water. I'm good. So I'm about to end the stream, and hope all goes well, and don't eat too much candy if y'all indulge in that whole Halloween ritual. Event. Okay. All right. So see you guys in another stream and another project. Peace and hair grease.